Hey everyone, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and in today's video, we're actually going to be talking about streaming. Now, this isn't something that I usually talk about on my channel, but as streaming obviously becomes more prevalent and it's sort of everywhere now, I have to talk about some of the updates to streaming, especially how it affects physical media. And today's topic is going to be all about Disney Plus and their new IMAX Enhanced release of 13 different Marvel Studios movies. So I'm going to talk about what that actually means for Disney Plus subscribers and what you'll be seeing when you watch IMAX Enhanced versus maybe a 4K Blu-ray disc or even a standard Blu-ray disc. And then I'll be talking about some of the pros, some of the cons, and what I think this means for the future of Disney and physical media as a whole. So the first thing we have to understand really quickly is what is IMAX Enhanced and how is that different from, say, a 4K disc with HDR, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, all of these other technologies that have been seen on streaming and on physical media for a very long time now. And IMAX Enhanced is actually a different format, so it has its own sort of take on HDR and color. It has a DTS IMAX soundtrack versus, a Dolby Atmos, so it has their own kind of take on sound. It's basically just IMAX putting out their own sort of format for 4K and for these large format movies. So we've seen IMAX Enhanced before on actually a handful of 4K discs, and this is different than just discs that show IMAX scenes. IMAX Enhanced is a separate format. So say when you're watching The Dark Knight on 4K and your screen expands to show the IMAX scenes, that's not IMAX Enhanced, that's just IMAX aspect ratio. IMAX Enhanced is actually a different format with those color grading and sound differences. But on Disney Plus and with these 13 Marvel movies that they've released in IMAX Enhanced, what's happened here is that they have added this to the film experience, and it's something that's never been available at home before. So if you're to watch an IMAX movie in a movie theater, you'll notice that it is a very tall image, right? It's not your typical widescreen image. And typically when those come to home release, some titles like The Dark Knight will show you the IMAX scenes and the aspect ratio will change. Others, like the Marvel movies which have been released on physical media, only show you the widescreen version, and they did not include any of the IMAX scenes on the discs. So this is often something that is always up for debate. Do you want to see the IMAX scenes? Do you want widescreen? Do you want the aspect ratio changing? But in the case of a few Marvel movies, especially Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, they were both shot entirely on IMAX, but yet when you get the physical 4K release of Avengers Endgame, it's only available in widescreen. So that was disappointing for a lot of physical media collectors, and that's what has a lot of people excited about this new IMAX Enhanced version on Disney Plus. So Disney Plus announced this for 13 different titles. You've got both Guardians of the Galaxy movies, you have Iron Man, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Captain America Civil War, Shang-Chi, you have Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, which I mentioned, Doctor Strange, Black Widow, Thor Ragnarok, and Ant-Man and the Wasp. So when you log into Disney Plus now, you will see a screen and it will say IMAX Enhanced for those movies. And you'll notice immediately, especially if you compare this to your 4K Blu-rays or standard Blu-ray copies, that now all of a sudden there is an aspect ratio change on movies like Iron Man or Doctor Strange, which were not entirely filmed in IMAX. And then there's the standard IMAX aspect ratio for the entirety of Infinity War, Endgame, and Shang-Chi, because those were shot in IMAX. So it's a different experience than you've ever been able to have at home before, and it's a different experience than what Disney put on their 4K and Blu-ray discs, which is what makes it really interesting. So that's a little background on what happened, but at the end of the day, the biggest thing you're going to notice is that the IMAX Enhanced versions are the color is a little bit better, I thought, than the other Disney Plus streams. It's closer to what a 4K Blu-ray looks like. The audio is better as well, closer to physical media. Not quite there yet, but the biggest change is going to be the aspect ratio. I'll put up a screenshot here of what that looks like, and I've been throwing a few others in as well. But on your TV screen at home, where you usually had very thick black bars at the top and the bottom of your image, they're now going to be much skinnier black bars. It's not entirely full screen, but they do add about 25% more image according to, Disney and Marvel Studios marketing, and it does open up the frame. So this isn't just a zoomed in image. You are actually seeing more of the movie by watching this on the IMAX Enhanced version on Disney Plus. So the pros to this on Disney Plus are pretty obvious. That first of all, these versions have improved upon what were kind of subpar 4K streams, and they've brought Disney Plus and those movies in particular a lot closer to the 4K Blu-ray experience. And for some people out there who aren't sticklers for quality, they're probably going to say this actually leaps past the 4K Blu-ray experience, because the 4K Blu-ray did not include that IMAX aspect ratio. It never even shifted on any of the movies. Disney just never included it, and now you get that in its entirety wherever it's available during these movies. So for a lot of people who don't like the letterboxed image or really wanted the IMAX experience like they had in the movie theater when they saw these movies, this could actually be a step up over the 4K discs that are available for each of these. So I will say I do like the way that the IMAX Enhanced streams look better than my 4K discs for these movies, because I want to see the full image. I want to see the full frame. I don't want to be cut off and see the widescreen. If it was shot in IMAX, they should show us the full frame. And it's something that was really disappointing when Disney put these releases out on physical media and didn't do that. It was kind of lazy on their part. They kind of skipped out on it, whereas a lot of other movies that do similar things, Mission Impossible movies, the Dark Knight trilogy, some of those movies like that do shift even on 4K or Blu-ray disc, and Disney just got too lazy and didn't put it on their physical media releases. So this is a huge pro, because this is now the best way, I think, to watch these movies at home. The quality is not quite the same as the disc, but it is so much better than the previous Disney Plus streams, and with that added aspect ratio, it's really, really nice. So even as somebody who loves physical media, I can admit that I do think Disney has done something good here. They finally allowed people to watch this at home in the correct aspect ratio, and I will give them credit. They are some pretty good looking streams. Now, some of the cons, and one of the major ones is one you may not be thinking of, but one of the major cons is that they've kind of promoted this as if the entire movie is this new IMAX Enhanced experience, and that's really only true for 3 out of the 13. Shang-Chi, Endgame, and Infinity War were filmed on IMAX. So the entire movie has that IMAX aspect ratio, and those are the 3 clear standouts here. The rest of the movies shift back and forth. Some of them have more IMAX scenes than others. Black Widow has about 20 minutes of IMAX scenes, but Captain America Civil War, the entire movie except for the airplane hangar fight scene at the end at the airport, the entire movie is in standard widescreen. So the only time you get that IMAX experience is for that one fight. That's great that we get it for arguably the best scene in the movie, but it's not really IMAX Enhanced. It's IMAX Enhanced for 2% of the movie. And the same could be said for others like Iron Man or Doctor Strange. The Guardians of the Galaxy movies tend to have a little bit more, but even then, it's about 15 to 20 minutes of actual IMAX footage out of a 2-hour, 2.5-hour movie. So that just something to note is that these aren't fully IMAX Enhanced. The 3 that you're going to see the biggest benefit on are those 2 Avengers movies and Shang-Chi. Otherwise, I could take it or leave it, because there isn't enough IMAX footage for me to consider watching a stream versus a great 4K physical disc. And so I'd probably go with the disc on the rest of those. So that's just something to note, because they don't really talk about that. They've promoted this in a big way, but in reality, it's only really great for 3 of the 13 movies. But the other negative is that clearly Disney, again, doesn't care about physical media, because if they cared about physical media and they truly cared about you, the Marvel Studios lovers, the community who buys these discs, who collects these discs, who's bought Avengers Ultimate box sets in the Phase 2, Phase 3, Phase 1 collections and spent thousands of dollars on these discs, they would have given you these IMAX scenes on physical media. Instead, what Disney's doing here is saying to you, well, thanks for buying that $30 Avengers Endgame 4K disc, but if you want to watch the best version of it, you actually now need to sign up for Disney Plus and give us $8 a month as well. or sorry, that's your only option. So it really is a classic example of a studio, in Disney in particular, going back into the pockets of people who really love these movies and really support them, and cutting corners on initial releases, and then coming back to you years later and asking you for more money to show you what they really should have already given you the first time. So that's clearly what's disappointing, and we'll see if some of these do eventually get IMAX Enhanced 4K discs, because I think that those would be standout reference quality discs if we could get them on physical media with the high bit rates, no compression from streaming, the great audio, all of that. If that could come to disc, that would be incredible. But chances are this is another ploy for Disney to get you to sign up for Disney Plus, fork over $8 a month, and have that be the only option you have to watch these movies, which is really disappointing, because these IMAX Enhanced scenes are perfect for physical media, and they should have been included on the original releases. I could see maybe Iron Man or others that are older, maybe they didn't get them, but the fact that Avengers Endgame and Infinity War were shot in IMAX entirely, and Disney cut corners and only gave you a widescreen 4K Blu-ray is just another example of how much Disney just does not care about physical media and the collector community, and why I'm so hot and cold on them. They do great things like IMAX Enhanced, and then they don't deliver it to a large base of collectors who really are probably the biggest supporters of these Marvel movies. So overall, this just kind of continues my love-hate relationship with Disney. I love some of their content. I do love some of their ideas and some of the things that they have done, but I also hate a lot of the oversaturation of content. There's way too much Marvel content now to keep up with it, in my opinion. It's just oversaturated. I hate that they're pushing all these exclusives to Disney Plus, and that TV shows like The Mandalorian are never going to get a physical media release in reality, which is disappointing for the Star Wars collectors out there. It's disappointing for the Marvel collectors that we can't get series like WandaVision or Hawkeye on physical media, and it's even more disappointing when you pay a lot of money up front for these 4K discs and they give you a worse version than what they're delivering on their streaming platform. That's totally backwards to me. It should at least be even, and where it's not, Disney is clearly putting the focus on Disney Plus and telling you, if you don't pay us monthly out of your pocket, we're not going to give you the best experience, especially if you're a physical media collector. So that's it for the video. That's my thoughts on this. A lot of people asked me about it, but one person who actually convinced me to go ahead and do this was Hector the Collector. So he has a big Instagram page, tons, one of the best like superhero movie collections I've seen, from figurines and statues to physical media and all these exclusive steelbooks and things, DC, Marvel, you name it, he's got it all. So he kind of sent me some messages, showed me some screenshots. I did show a couple of his screenshots that he shared with me here to give you an example of how these movies looked on his LG OLED TV. So shout out to him. I'm going to put a link down in the description, because he kind of convinced me to make this video, and he is a big physical media supporter. But when he told me that you really need to check out these IMAX Enhanced streams, that's when I knew it was pretty serious. And he's not wrong. These are good looking streams. I will give them credit. The IMAX scenes look awesome. I would prefer watching Endgame on Disney Plus right now to my 4K Blu-ray, because it's a better experience. The sad part is I hate that I have to make that decision, and I hate that they didn't give that option to physical media collectors. So it is what it is. We'll see what happens, but just another example of my love-hate relationship with Disney. So anyway, thank you for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe and like this so others will see it and can learn more about what IMAX Enhanced means and what this new change is all about. So I think it'll educate a lot of people on what's actually happening on Disney Plus, and hopefully maybe we'll generate enough views and enough comments on this that someone at Disney sees it and says, man, there really is a community out here who deserves to get these on disc, and they do something for us. It sucks that we'd have to buy them again, but at least they'd be available outside of the streaming service. So comment, like the video, share it, spread the word, because maybe we can get something to happen. But other than that, make sure you follow me on social media. All the links are down in the description. That's a great way to get in touch and stay up to date on what's going on the channel outside of YouTube. So appreciate you all reaching out there, and hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy out there, and I will talk to you all soon.